Let's start by discussing episodes 7 to 8. A technique the screenwriter often uses effectively is when the audience realizes the plot is cliché or contains logical contradictions and can predict what will happen next. The screenwriter can use a character in the film to voice the audience's thoughts, not only avoiding plot or setting flaws, but also adding a humorous touch. This technique is often used in superhero movies, with Deadpool's commentary being a prime example. A mansion as big as the X-Men's, but no other mutants in sight. Is it a budget issue? Can't afford them? Here, the screenwriter knows the audience will also mock this. So why not let a talkative character in the film say, "It's because of a lack of money." With a joke, the issue is resolved. Now, let's analyze similar situations in episodes 7 to 8. The male and female protagonists belong to opposing forces, but there's a romantic undertone. From the start, we know the outcome of this plot. Encountering various obstacles on the journey only intensifies their leading to the breaking of barriers between them. Many films put effort into creating various hindrances, even if the ending is on their way to the destination. All these details need to be filled in. Even though the ending is anticipated, the screenwriter has to provide explanations for these fillers. However, the animation skips all right from the start. The indigenous people guide the main characters to their destination. Therefore, Morty sarcastically comments on the rapid progression of the math teacher's line. Isn't this a parody of Invincible? Morty has the same Star Wars many times, and the audience instantly recognizes that. This is a reimagining of Star Wars. Let the teacher be the one to say it. We are parodying Star Wars. If a predictable plot is presented, only the main characters are kept in the dark, making it look forced. Morty's line, "You don't get out much," clearly indicates that these indigenous characters are a combination of letters and that numbers. Eventually helps the audience mock the cliched plot. It's apparent that the protagonists deliberately don't notice. The male and female protagonists have a mutual enemy, with the female lead causing the death of the male lead. Without resolving this conflict, the plot can't progress. But the audience knows there must be a misunderstanding. It will definitely be resolved for a happy ending. But the protagonists act like they can't figure it out. The audience knows there's some explanation. They will surely reconcile in the end. This is where the characters pretend not to know, making it seem deliberate. As Morty sarcastically says, obvious you guys don't go out to the eventual union, a combination of letters and not the overly predictable plot. So Morty says, "It's not because of me that the ceiling fell, but because the main antagonist poisoned it." The male lead suddenly realizes, oh, that's how it is. It doesn't matter who poisoned it, just provide an explanation. As long as there's an explanation, it works for the audience. The audience will definitely criticize the cliché. So why not make it the funniest? This is probably why there's a animation movie title in this episode to be saying to the audience. Many movie core contents can be summarized in a few lines. So even though this episode is titled Big Movie, it's finished in 20 minutes. And it doesn't miss any classic scenes. Of course, although this technique is enjoyable, the essence remains the same. Episodes 7 to 8 indeed lack depth in the plot. And viewers, after waiting a year for 10 episodes, hope for depth in every episode, rather than relying solely on humor. The ratings for this episode might not be high. After discussing the unique narrative technique of episodes 7 to 8, let's organize the Easter eggs. The first one is the title. Colleagues pointed out that the color scheme is identical. Indeed, it appears to be a tribute. The second title at the end also has a corresponding reference. It pays homage to another robot, the old animation machine god. Both titles have a similar style. Certainly, they are both Easter eggs. The second title at the end of the film also has a corresponding relationship, paying homage to another robot, the old animation machine god. Both titles have this style. Certainly, they are both Easter eggs. I also found that in this episode. The soundtrack Saint is still composed by the show's producer. In reality, the actual street came to compose it. Actually, it's the father of the animated street. That is, this old king. So, in the last rap segment, ST makes a rare appearance. He's now over 60 years old. Rarely does he appear again as the old king. Before he dies, he throws the mic, although many artists do this when ending a performance. This action, in the United States, the most famous is Obama's meme. He did this in his retirement speech. At the last moment, he made the gesture of throwing the mic. It went viral on the internet. Then there's a bunch of Star Wars references, including the flying vehicle of the digital beings. Then a series of distant view spaceships. Distant view spaceship. The female lead walks in. Cassavetes walks in. The digital emperor appears in holographic form. Palpatine appears in holographic form. This time, even the editing can be matched. They are all faithfully restored. Then the attack method of the Spirit Emperor is also established, corresponding to Palpatine's famous move. Next is the Easter egg of Back to the Future. After SD shines brightly, someone calls and says, "I found a new singer," corresponding to Back to the Future. After the male LED shines brightly, the same calling scene appears. The lines are perfectly matched. Even the actions are the same. Cousin Marvin D. Remo. The inspiration for this animation originally came from Back to the Future. It was even rumored that the doctor from the movie would play Rick. Rick is now 85 years old. I don't know if he can still play those indigenous people. Called Guga by Morty. Behind this name, there's an old joke that doesn't feel good. The two producers, Dan Harmon and Roiland, once shot some strange live-action dramas. One of the short films had an alien called Guga. Ah, how time flies. Roiland has already left. Now calling Morty Guga is no longer voiced by Roiland. Morty also says that indigenous people worship shiny things. Here, the shining corresponds to Star Wars. In the movie, the indigenous shiny C-3PO. Then there's this hilarious scene. Here is a pun. It's a pun in English. Cock-doodle in English is the crowing of a rooster. There's a nursery rhyme called cock-a-doodle-doo, equivalent to our rooster crowing. Then coincidentally, not only can chickens in Chinese carry bath towels, in English, GKOK also means having a bath towel. The animation is about alien chickens fighting. A pun. Then there is a scene from memory. In reality, Saint has also won a Grammy Award. The other nominated people in the animation are also real music talents. Among them, Will Smith was a hip-hop singer before becoming a famous actor. Next is the segment of the Japanese advertisement. I didn't feel like I inserted it perfectly. It's the crew recreating the last century. Those very old Japanese toys. The font of the advertisement, the speech tone, etc. It looks very similar. So the crew imitated a segment. The rap lyrics in the song are processed very cleverly. Almost every sentence is a pun. Almost every sentence is a pun. For example, I and E are both numbers, referring to mathematical operations, in which I is generally used to represent the imaginary part. And the line SD sang, "My bath towel is 3.14. Long like a giant python? 3.14 is the first three letters of pi. And the giant python in English is python. It happens to have the same pronunciation as pi. The music teacher also has a line GLOCK, referring to my cold number 9. The preceding GLOCK is Glock pistol. The following 9 is referring to the 9mm bullets used in the gun. This Glock also perfectly echoes the gangster rap style. I feel like in CS, is it the origin of wasteland poison? The pistol is Glock. And indeed, I've researched rap. The same user mentioned in private messages, the old king takes the stage with holographic imagery. Not only corresponding to Yoda in Star Wars, but also more like paying tribute to Tupac after his death, using holographic imagery to perform on stage. After all, the theme of this episode is rap. The legendary rapper Tupac deserves some tribute. Finally, there's an appearance by SQ. This person, in reality, is also a representative figure in gangsta rap. Feels even more famous than Saint. What's particularly clever is that his name has a cube, meaning a cube. The crew made a playful shape, implying an alien identity. Mission accomplished. It's still more interesting to discover various Easter eggs. Next week's 7 to 9 looks exciting. The young Rick in Jerry's mind seems to have some scenes again. It seems to lead to a similar long plot. Let's wait and see. First, thank you for watching.